We'll now call this meeting to order. This is the March 28th version of the Culture and Leisure Services Board, our regular meeting. I'd like to have a roll call at this time.
Jean Petrie,
Here.
Douglas Raymond,
Here.
Barbara McPeak,
Here.
Maureen Michelle,
Here.
Mickey Kellum,
Here.
Tim Bass and Larry Holmes are excused absent.
Okay, thank you very much. At this portion of our meeting, it's delegated to public participation. And I see we have someone in the audience this evening, and certainly you're welcome to address the board. This is that opportunity. Thanks, Wes. Okay, the items on our agenda. First of all, we all received the minutes from our last meeting, and that was January 31st. Did everyone receive a copy and review it?
Yes.
Yes. No.
Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
No.
I did not receive it. Every time I print it out, this is what I get. XXXX. I don't even understand that.
I think someone has gotten into your computer.
Russians. That's all it is. It's like X's. Look at this.
Any questions, any additions? If none, certainly we'll accept a motion to approve the minutes of the January 31st meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I
Hey, Mickey makes a motion, and it's seconded by Michelle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Staff report. We've got a lot of good information presented to us by our director, and this is his opportunity to answer any questions of any of the items that are listed here, and I'm sure you have some, but we'll turn this over to our director, Gustavo.
Again, just as I reiterate at every meeting, these are all compilations from the weekly update. Staff works really hard, so anybody who wants to read it once a week has anywhere from 30 to 60-page document as to what's going on in the city. And I don't know if too many other municipalities that do that, but Cape Canaveral does it, and I wish my city did it because for people that want to be informed, it's all there. I want to just touch base on not so much what's happened, but what's coming, the first one being Founders Day and our brand new chowder cook-off. This one is brand new to the city. The city used to do an old chili cook-off, and there were no necessarily rules or stipulation. It was like bring your pot of chili from wherever you made it. And then there was some tasting, but Molly in particular worked really hard to put all these rules together because what we didn't want to happen was somebody to get a bunch of Campbell's, delicious Campbell soup, put it in a crock pot, bring it over and turn it on and say that's their chowder. So nationally, Molly looked at all these different huge chowder cook-offs to include our very own port here, right, Molly? And, why reinvent the wheel? So it all has to be prepared on site, and you have to bring your own cooking utensils, et cetera. So I won't bore you with all the rules. You can look it up. But I do want to encourage all you guys that are either residents or live within a condo HOA to get together with your neighbors and let's see who's got the best chowder. The trophies are awesome. I will tell you they have all had a touch of custom made to them. Okay, so we have the golden ladle, which is the one for the condos, and that one was handmade parts of it. And the other ones are with our Summer of Spades. They're a really cool little rocket, and they have Molly's touch on it as well. So we're looking forward to a really good Founders Day. Hopefully you guys are all there. And if you're not, tell your neighbors, tell your friends. Let's get them over there and encourage them to get together. Now you guys over there, Gene, bring a crew and let's put a chowder submission together. Super busy month in April and obviously spring coming.
Can
Friday.
I ask a question? Excuse
Yeah,
me. Question on the chowder cook-off. You can't use a generator and you can't use electricity. What methods of since they're going to have to prepare everything on site and
Heat it.
do their cooking there,
Ga-
would it
gas
be with
stoves.
propane?
UL listed, yeah, any kind of a UL listed container. And that's the same thing if you want to have like a cookout on the beach. That was a huge thing. If you guys remember about 3 to 4 years ago, where council went round and around as far as doing the ordinance on fires on the beach, because some people wanted fires on the beach and some council members didn't want fires on the beach. But then how about cooking fires? And so what citywide, what is allowed is a UL listed container. So any kind of a grill, any kind of a gas cooking container, little grill, little burner, that's what's allowed.
So no open fire? In other words, they can't heat it up and cook it there on site in one of our,
Right. Nope. Unfortunately not. It has some to do with health. It has some to do with ensuring that everybody's on a very level playing field.
okay,
Inspected by fire. Johnny's inspecting.
Yeah, the assistant fire chief Cunningham will be inspecting all the UL containers and everything to make sure everything's safe.
okay, thank you.
Yep. Friday Fest, this is just a quick little anecdote that at 4 o'clock last Friday Fest, the existing bounce house vendor decided to call and cancel on me. So you guys have been to Friday Fest. You know what a hit bounce houses
yeah.
are there and how people expect it to somehow be part of the event. If we were to furnish that area for somebody, it would cost us about $1,000 per event. We don't furnish that area. We let a contractor who's a professional and gives us insurance. We rent them that space, so they make money, but the city is also, compensated. But we were so lucky that at the last minute we found somebody who had just opened a business and they have everything. And so, because I learned so much in those 2 hours of scrambling to get somebody there. There's pay for play. There's some vendors that do pay for play. There's some vendors who rather just make the money, because to them, they drop this equipment off, set it up, and it's what they call passive income. That thing just makes you money. You leave it, then you come back at it at the end of the day, you're good to go. So the whole pay to play model means that you got to have people there. It means you got to hassle with, like, as somebody experienced at Friday Fest, sometimes drunk parents arguing. That's the nature of the bounce house area sometimes, and we do what we can. But these guys did the best they could, considering it was their very first event. But luckily, bounce houses are secured again until whatever happens. But it's become a really neat part of the event, because parents really count on being able to drop their kids off, their kids having just a very safe area to hang out in.
Yeah.
And if you've ever brought kids to Friday Fest, and you see how busy that whole thing is. So Friday Fest continues to grow. For a while, we thought Cocoa Beach was going to be done with Friday Fest, but I think they're trying to reinvent it somehow. Always hear mixed things about their Friday Fest, but I do hear that ours is awesome from all the vendors compared to everybody else's, so we're really good on that front. Want to let you know about our movie in the park, because we're on this whole summer of space, and as you read on the weekly update, everything this year we're celebrating how many years, Molly? 50 of our Cape Canaveral being involved in the space industry. So as part of that, we've switched up the movie in the park to not be such a kid movie. We're doing First Man, and we're going to try it out. The key for doing this, because I've done this at a lot of other places and been very successful with it, is properly informing the public of the rating, which is PG-13, and putting there's an organization that rates movies and gives parental guidance. It's called IMDb. So we put the full IMDb rating, and before the movie, we'll further inform the public that there may be some words that some kids may not be okay with, and it's just full disclosure that it's not necessarily a kid movie like the other kids movies we've done. But then we close it out with Christopher Robin in May. So couldn't get any more family friendly than that. Molly, do you want to touch base on the call for photos for me, please?
As part of the Summer of Space, and you can kind of see a little blurb about this, not only in your staff report, but also on our Recreator, we are going to do a digital photo exhibit that's going to go into the Community Artifacts Room. And it's going to showcase photos taken in and around Cape Canaveral between 1960 and 1970. And the public is welcome to and encouraged to submit their own photos. We can scan them here on site, so we're not sending anything off. And we're going to incorporate that to kind of showcase what life was like in and around Cape Canaveral. Everybody and their mother is focusing on launches and moon landings and astronauts, and Cape Canaveral had so much more going on at that point that we want to showcase that too, because we were kind of living in the shadow of the space industry at that point, and we had our own things going on. So we're celebrating not only the development of our community at that point, but all of that was happening at the same time as members of our community putting a man on the moon. So we want to showcase what life was like for them when they came home, when they went out and barbecued on the beach, when they had watch parties at their homes. We wanted to show what their kids were doing in the afternoons after school. So we're making this exhibit as a snapshot of the Cape Canaveral community. And if anybody has any pictures or knows people that were avid shutterbugs between 60 and 70 that were around town, please send them my way.
Thank you, Molly. You know, it's a delight to have you because, with all the communities we have in Brevard County, it doesn't seem like anyone there is as proactive as you. And congratulations for your second term as
Thank you.
chairperson for the Brevard County Historical Commission. And that's speaks in itself very, very well. Thank you.
Huge honor.
Thank you, Jean.
It's not necessarily, it's part of the update, but just letting you know, Rover Space, which is going to be our first off-leash dog space located within Xeriscape Park, continues to move forward. It's a slow process because we're doing it all in-house. The only thing we've subcontracted was the artificial turf. Everything else, to include the brand new sidewalk you see, has been done in-house, saving us at least $30,000 to $40,000. But it's a process because we just had a huge storm yesterday, and so baffle boxes had to be cleaned today. And it's just that's the nature of running a city with a very efficient small staff. But it is coming along. We're getting fencing completed by early next week. We have some really neat doggy playground elements that we have hand built. We have amazing tradesmen that work within our staff, and they've built these awesome platforms for the dog to walk up and down. And they're doing some cool little jump obstacles. We're going to have the city's first splash pad. It's not going to be for people. It's going to be for doggies. And so we have some really cool little splash pad elements that we're going to be installing. And so our target as of right now is for the May Friday Fest. That's when we're kind of targeting for a ribbon cutting. We're going to affirm that at least, I want to be sure that everything is in place by at least 2 weeks prior. So when invitations go out to council members and the community, that it's ready to go, and we just cut the ribbon and doggies are ready to get in there. But all the pieces are moving together, and it's a really beautiful space. If you happen to drive by it, you'll see that it's, it looks like a little bit of a construction zone still, but it's going to be awesome. So that, if you have any questions on any of the report or anything, I'm welcome to.
Is it going to be named Bow Wow Park? Or
Rover's Space.
what is it?
Rover's Space. We did a big thing where on Facebook, we created a survey. I don't know how many of you guys follow the city, but
I didn't get no votes.
yeah, so the community got to vote, and overwhelmingly everybody loved Rover's Space. And then now Joshua Surprenant, who is the community services director, is an artist. He's a graphic artist. as part of his trade. He went to school for that, so he's designed these beautiful signs that we're gonna put up, with the park name, and we're gonna make sure that Xeriscape Park, because that's the name of the park, this little space within the park is called Rover Space. We didn't want to name it a dog park for two reasons. A, it's boring. The dog park, everybody, Vieira Dog Park, Palm Bay Dog Park, Cocoa Beach, that's really boring. Want to be as unique as Cape Canaveral it is, but also the park already has a name, Xeriscape Park. So we didn't want to name a park within a park. It's just a space. So we wanted that space to have its own little name, but it's not, just cleaned it up like that. Anyways.
End of report. Any questions, comments?
Nope.
Hearing none, I think it was very clearly outlined in your presentation, and thank you once again for a great report. Moving on to old business. Is there any old business to come before us this evening? Yes, I'd like to ask once again, kind of old business. It's with regard to the art show. Has there been any new information or?
No, we have reached out to them. There was a meeting scheduled, but then some scheduling conflicts in their board, and the fire chief and some other folks came through. We requested that they put any comments, concerns, opportunities for improvement, in writing, and we have not received anything yet. I think, I'm not sure when that garage, if it is even a garage or a hotel, I'm sorry. But anyways, I think parking is always going to be an issue for them. That's just the nature of the beast. And that's what they decided to take on, even though they were fair warned, but they haven't said that they were unhappy with the last one. But
Do we have any dates for next year? Or
Not
this
yet.
year, I'm sorry.
right, for this
This
year.
year.
Here's what I'll tell you. I am anticipating for it not to be Thanksgiving weekend, because I think they were more successful by doing it earlier than they were trying to compete against Cocoa Beach.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else under old business? Hearing none, we're going to move on to new business.
Oh, okay. This item actually, Gene, we jumped the gun and put it on there. Really, the only governing body that approves park names is City Council. So we're just going to take it to them, because that's who actually approved the name of the park. But I'll give you a little history on it. There are two what we call pocket parks, very small parcels, that were given to the city. One was part of a right-of-way thing where the existing Cumberland Farms is. And so, again, with the whole Summer of Space and the location, and it's that little triangle at the entrance of North Atlantic there.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so Josh, again, designed this really neat galactic area, like a galaxy as you come into it. You won't be able to see it in your car, but it is iridescent tiles. So these things will absorb light during the day, and at night, staff is designing a galaxy on the floor. So as we continue to make Cape Canaveral walkable, bikeable, you are going to be able to walk through that whole area, and it's just a very small pocket park. But at night, you'll see on the floor that these tiles grow. And again, staff is doing it. I don't know what contractor you could find to do this, but luckily, again, we have great tradespeople that are doing that.
Is it that right at the point?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, with next fiscal year, perhaps part of our public art program that Molly's been working in forever, but we just, that may host a piece of art there. Obviously relating to space history, considering from the little I understand, that was the way to the Cape way back in the day before A1A existed. Am I right on that, Molly, or did I get
I have
that?
no
Oh,
confirmation on
well,
that.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that. And maybe you guys know, but that's what I was told, that was the way to the Cape back in the day. It was North Atlantic there. And then the other one, Wagner Park, was also part of a um, land swap or something. And it'll be all described in our agenda. Josh and Mr. Green dealt with a lot of that land acquisition there. But it's just south of um, north of Harbor Heights and south of where Betty Walsh, Villages of Seaport. It's right there. There's a bus stop right there
There's
on
that
North
little
Atlantic.
area right
Yes,
there,
they
yeah.
cleared it already.
Yeah, I
And
saw
it's
that.
just a very small pocket park, but again, everything that we're involved is going to be very high quality. So they're going to put some benches, a bike rack, very unique bike rack, themed to the city, with a water drinking fountain. You know, just a very small but whimsical place as you're going up and down North Atlantic, or you know, you can just take some rest there. So it's a couple small pocket parks, but right now they're just land. Staff is working on it, so we're going to put an agenda item forward for City Council to approve.
Will architectural review also be involved in the process?
It was approved as part of a visioning. There's not much. It's just some benches and a sidewalk. So there's not. It was designed by the city's engineer.
No, my reference is North Atlantic, right by Cumberland. That parcel, that's the one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
My concern is if we put anything that's super nice and beautiful, there's enough distractions on that corner for people driving vehicles and
Right.
people trying to fight to cross
Yeah.
cross the road, that I just would have, from a safety standpoint, have some concern that whatever we put there would not be distractive to the motorists.
Absolutely. So right now, phase one, motorists won't really be able to see because it'll be just benches. You know, what I was talking about, the Galaxy, it's on the ground. So
Oh,
you-
on the ground.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So you're gonna walk on it
Okay.
at night. Yeah, yeah. It's
Excuse
not.
me, I kind of thought it was.
No, eventually we may put something there, like a small statue. You know, but again, it won't be so big or obtrusive that it's gonna cause anything. You know, and as you see the bollards there on the west side of that northbound lane has already found a lot of cars. So
Yeah.
you're right in that area doesn't need any more distractions. But FDOT is working with the city to eventually address A1A. You know, I don't know exactly where DOT is at with that, but I know the city's working very hard. And there's a lot of meetings going on and a lot of council members involved, and Todd, the economic development director, and everything that's going on with A1A and FDOT to redevelop A1A in Cape Canaveral to slow it down and make it more bikeable and walkable. I know Angela is very ardent supporter, and she's very involved with all that. So
I have a question or just a comment. I know, like, Cape Canaveral is geared around the space the space and the 50 years and all that.
space, yeah.
But with what I do with the IEs and all the evidence that we found that they definitely lived here and lived along the river, is there something maybe we could put out for a bid of a sculpture of what the IEs would have looked like to put in one of those little parks, meaning from Indian to space, that
Yeah,
before all that happened, they were here,
yeah.
and something to tribute to how far back our culture goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of room as the city continues to evolve for public art. It is just in its infancy here, and it's starting with some boxes within the city, some utility covers. So I don't know if you've noticed, Cocoa Village, Titusville, everybody's covering utility boxes with really beautiful art. And ours in particular had, a big call for artists went out, and it's already a sealed deal as to what's going on there. But the reason I bring that up is because it starts to bring public art to fruition a little bit in Cape Canaveral, you know,
just
and so
thought
that's
right-
definitely a consideration.
Yeah, right there in that, where you were saying in front of Villages of Seaport, that little tiny thing would be really cool with a
Yeah.
statue of some kind
Yeah,
there, and
if we had a magic wand, okay, today, the intent would be to develop what we're calling Whimsy Park, right east of the library, into the city's first sculpture park. Okay, and so what that is you develop a public sculpture program where sculptures are showcased for about 18 months. That 18 months then gives you enough time to develop the program for the next 18 months. Usually what happens with cities that are very vibrant and have these programs is the artist a lot of times doesn't want that statue back. So you end up being able to purchase it for pennies on the dollar because the other option is you somehow pick it up from the monolith we built for you. It's a concrete, you know, it's got to be set on a nice pad. And then you got to bring your trailer from North Carolina or wherever and haul it back and put it on a website to try to sell it. You know, it's a hassle.
yeah.
So usually there's a lot of leeway for the city to acquire this artwork, and then you can transfer it to wherever you want within the city. So I think that there are avenues exactly for what you said, as well as the Cape Center, because we will be able to do showcase art there, you know, and we can theme it. And, you know, Molly's working on 1 million of those programs. So absolutely.
Okay, I'd also like to, at this time, thank Mickey Kellum for her involvement in the VFW and the American Legion Cancer Walk. We thank you very much for your participation, and also Barbara McPeak and your financial contribution. We want to thank you very much for that as well.
Gene, one more thing
And
that
walking.
we didn't quite get on this, and this is something that came through us from the state of Florida, right, Molly?
The Division of Cultural Affairs.
The state of Florida? Yeah, from the state. And it's a cultural facilities grant. We have the opportunity to apply for a grant which could pay for half of the Cape Center. Yeah, so we are going to, Molly's working on the application right now, and we're going to work together to apply for a $500,000 grant to help build the Cape Center. It's a matching grant, so, you know, whether the whole redevelopment turns out to be $1 million or less, it'll be a matching grant. And there are no stipulations like there usually are with the Florida redevelopment assistance program, where you have to have this land deeded to the state in perpetuity. There are none of those stipulations as part of this grant. They just want to help redevelop facilities for to encourage cultural heritage, whether it be arts, history, etc. So we would like to draft a letter that the board signs in support of this grant. So, you know, we're looking for your support on this letter, and we need 4 letters of support. So we've reached out to some council members, and they've already agreed. But a letter from this board in support would mean a lot.
Is there a timing issue?
There is a timing issue, and that's why we're working on the application right now. Molly could easily draft a letter, and it's 1.9 square miles, so we can get to you for a signature very quickly. You know, to make it part of it, and perhaps maybe just
Special meeting?
we could do a special meeting if we can get quorum. That's always difficult, but
Right.
we could call one once we're ready within a week or two. Because again, it would just be a simple reaffirmation that the board supports us moving forward with this grant application.
Yeah, I think that's great, but also I think it'd be kind of important for us to do it here on city property
Yeah.
as far as signing.
Absolutely. We'll put that together.
I don't think it would require a meeting for signing. It would just be your signature, Gene.
Can't hear you, Molly.
It would just be your signature
Oh,
as
okay.
the chairman, so that wouldn't require a full meeting.
Okay, I thought it was gonna require
All of us.
all of us.
No, you would sign
Okay.
as the chair for it, but everyone would have the opportunity to review the letter before you signed it. And that can all be done digitally.
Is there anyone in disfavor of the letter and the intent? If
Not in
none,
getting money, no.
if none, I would say please proceed. Now, as far as the mayor's fitness challenge, did you want to talk about that also, Gustavo?
Well, I just want to, we have 1 week left. So I want to strongly encourage you to log those minutes if you haven't. If you haven't signed up, there's still time and we need your minutes. But let your friends that are snowbirds that have left, that they can still log their time, and they should still be getting an email from Aaron Leidy, who is our coordinator in charge of the fitness challenge, to please log those minutes, because this last week is it, and we are just so close. And again, somehow we're reaching out to United Way to see why they decided to change the parameters of the contest. We're trying to figure out where that came from and where we sit within the weekly outreach that we're doing. What percentage of the people that signed up in Cape Canaveral are signing up? If we can get 70%, we get an extra 400 points. That will for sure guarantee a win for us. But why bring that up the last week? So if they want to, we're requesting they share for the past 7-8 weeks, where have we been as far as the ratio of people that are signed up submitting minutes weekly? You know, we just want to see where those stats are at and why this new rule came up, because I say I'm not competitive, but for the city, I'm very competitive. So I want to make sure that we have the best programs and that whatever we do here is better than anybody else around, and that our parks are in better, you know, I'm very proud of what we do here. So
Do a good job.
thank
Just a
you.
suggestion, I know Aaron sends it out on Wednesdays, and that's really the last day. For this last time, maybe can he send one out Monday? Just a reminder, so
Consider
if
it
they miss
done.
Wednesdays,
Right. Consider it done.
okay.
Thank you, Doug.
I have a question. You were talking about the naming of the two parks. Is that what this, do we do suggestions for the naming of the park, or is it the city has any?
Yeah.
And it's the two places that you were just talking about.
Yeah, Chapter 54 breaks out how parks are named. Interestingly enough, when I came here, there was nothing. And having dealt with that at the county many times, I said, well, what if somebody donates land? For some reason at the time when I came here, that hadn't happened, you know? And it happened now. So Wagner Park in particular, there's the Wagner family, and that'll be all outlined in the city council agenda item. They donated that land to the city, so that's why that's named that. The Galactic Park or Galaxy Park at the entrance, it just happened to fit. That was more of a right-of-way thing with the owner that of the land there, and that was tied into the Summer of Space.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so that's how that whole thing was chosen, because it was the path to the Cape. I keep saying that because that's what been seared in my mind
I
as
think
this
you're
whole
right.
project was
I think you're
described
right.
to me.
That's-
Yeah,
That's the
Have
message
all
I
our
heard.
parades and everything down that road.
Because the post office was down there,
Yes, it was.
right.
and
Old
Right.
schoolhouse or
Yeah,
something,
right,
and yeah.
Okay, is there any other new business? Okay, hearing none, our next meeting will be May the 30th. I believe the Monday prior to that Thursday is Memorial Day. Are there any conflicts? Certainly that Thursday would be better than the Thursday before Memorial Day, because many people will be taking the long weekend. I personally don't see a conflict at this time regarding the 30th. Anyone else have a conflict?
No.
So far, no.
Okay, if there's no other business, we'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made by Mrs. McPeak and seconded by Doug Raymond. At this time, the meeting is adjourned. We'll see you all on May 30th, and keeping in mind, we're going to sign that letter and get the grant in motion and hopefully move on to bigger and better things. Thank you all for coming.
Now, is there the,
How's your tennis?